I'm going to start out by giving those of you that have been in a couple of other of my sessions, I'm going to give you the update on the pickleball status. So if you're just coming for the first time to our presentations, I've been kind of keeping people up to date. My parents are world champion pickleball players, completely random, but right now happens to be the Huntsman World Games going on. Those of you that tuned in yesterday, my mom played women's doubles and ended up getting the bronze medal for the world in her age group, so that is super amazing and awesome. Today at noon, Dad plays men's doubles, so if you see me later, you can ask me how he's doing, so pretty cool on their end. If I can bounce you to my presentation, if you're someone like me, I like to follow along. I'm going to recommend you go to wsrtech.com, presentations. You'll see all my presentations with one for the day. Today looks like that. Make yourself a copy is my recommendation, and then take some notes. And I'm also going to throw this out because I've been to a lot of conferences, and some of you might be feeling how I often feel at a tech conference. I know by the end, for me, my brain gets on overload. Are any of you at that point yet today? Okay, a couple of hands. Usually for me it hits about after lunch or a session after lunch. So I'm going to give you an out right now, and I'm going to give you permission. What I tell my teachers in my district, I work K-12 and instructional coach for Waverly Shara, and I brought a bunch of teachers down. And I say to them one thing. If you can pick up one thing you were not doing on Friday, and one thing you can take back and use once you get back to your classroom, to me that's success. So pick your one thing. And if you're at that point in the day, in the conference, where your brain is about to explode, I gotcha, I know how that feels. Just know that you have permission to be off task and do what you need to do for yourself, because it's all about your learning. So you're obviously here because you are either curious about gaming, gamification, or you're already doing it. So I want to do a quick poll of the room. How many of you are here because you're curious? You're dabbling. Okay, it seems like most of us. How many of you are here because you're doing it, you're starting it, or maybe you're an expert at gaming? See, and you're confident in it now. Okay, so you're here because you're curious about gaming. So I have 3 games up here. See if you recognize all 3. And I'm going to be that person because when I do a workshop or anything with my teachers, I believe the smartest person, just like our keynote, is the room. The smartest person in the room is the room. So I am going to be that presenter that asks you, when I say go, to move and sit so you have some people around you to collaborate with. Because I know together we are better. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to have you just clarify with people around you that you do know what those 3 games are. Tell each other, introduce yourself, your name, what you do. Of these 3, which one's your favorite? And then I'm going to have you discuss this question. So go ahead, if you need to move to be by someone to collaborate with, go for it. Start checking out, see if we know these 3 games. Did you get the middle one? Frogger. Pick up sticks, has to be my favorite. All right, this time tell the people near you, and again, if you don't have someone near you, please move so you can collaborate a little bit. Tell them your favorite game and answer this question. Make sure you know what those 3 are. And here is your question after you tell your neighbor your favorite of those 3. Why do we love playing games? Oh man. Trivia. Answer to this question, why do we love games? So I'll take 5 answers. Yes?
Because they're challenging, not only challenging if you're going against other people, but challenging yourself because you're going against yourself.
Okay, so the challenge of games, excellent. Yes?
Competition.
Competition. I'm kind of embarrassed to say this. I am very competitive. On that first slide, I had to include Go Fish. Anybody else love Go Fish? Go fishing? Okay, this is kind of an embarrassing story. I used to have a mom's group. I have 2 little boys, 9 and 7, but when they were super little, I had a mom's group, and we had Mommy Monday, and we'd get together. And I particularly remember a Mommy Monday, we had these games out for the kids. And my friend Kelly and Kelly is equally as competitive as I am. the kids are playing Go Fish, and all of a sudden, Kelly and I step in. And we are literally like pushing the kids out of the way, like, it's mama. And we're going at it, we're going at Go Fishing, and I would like to tell you that I won. The game was not Kelly's, it was mine. She went out and bought it and practiced with her children, and then wanted to rematch, and I won again. I just wanted to get some street cred on that. Okay, so challenging, competition, what else? What else do we love games?
Social.
Social, yes, people. Did you all get that this is, say it if you know this one. Trivia craft. Love it. Formerly Trivial Pursuit. Again, social, this is just digital. Okay, what else?
I think you have little successes even if you don't win. You have little successes and you get to show that you're clever and creative.
Exactly, little successes along the way. One more.
General boredom.
Yeah. They're just, can I use the word fun? They're just fun. If you haven't heard of Jane Mcgonigal, she's somebody you should definitely Google. So if your brain's going to explode and you're tuning me out, Google her, Jane Mcgonigal. She is a leading researcher and game designer. She spent 10 years of her life designing games and came up with this theory that people love games. And people love games, not only children, but adults, because of these 10 responses, these 10 emotional responses. Joy, relief, love, surprise, pride, curiosity, excitement, awe, wonder, contentment, and creativity. That's why we love playing games. Because of this, if you're new to gamification, here's the definition. Basically taking those elements of video game and game design, using them, I shouldn't say good, using them for good, but using them in education. So if we can take those emotions, those same principles, and create games to captivate our students, we'll have them hooked. So that's gamification. So why do we do it? Those 10 positive emotions that Jane talks about. Also, if you design it right in your classroom, students are in control of their learning, they can go at their own pace, they can be self-directed. Differentiation is huge, not only the enrichment, but also the reteaching part, if you level it correctly. Student engagement, feedback, collaboration, and teamwork, these are huge. And then lastly, it's just plain fun. Here are some of the game basics that we talk about, rules. So when you design a game, making sure that you set and you're very clear about those conditions for winning. What's that look like? Giving everybody a chance for success. Everybody can win. Challenges and quests just sound more interesting than homework, assignments, and tasks. If you can switch your verbiage, switch your wording, you'll grab them in. Levels, I've seen this through earning points to pass levels. I've seen levels unlocking levels. There are a lot of different models and strategies for leveling, but kids are used to games that ask them to level up. They love that, they love the challenge. With technology, this one, if you were in my session yesterday, I did a crowdsource and I said, how many in here, in this room, how many of you are one-to-one in your district? And I'll ask you too. I think yesterday we were over 50% with that. But with technology and with access, why not give the kids the resources? Give them to them. Give them videos. Give them tutorials. Give them screencasts. Let the kids learn whatever way they want to learn. So we'll talk about that. I'll show what that looks like. Leaderboards. Giving kids status. Letting them go up. It might not be if you're, I heard Michael Materas say this yesterday, and if you haven't been to his stuff, amazing. It is so, anybody been to his stuff yet? Okay, I'm so excited to go to him later today. You should definitely see his stuff. His stuff is going to look completely different than what I show you, but it's these same concepts and principles. So definitely check him out later, but he talks about leaderboards too. And then badges, earning those badges. Ones that tie to the content curriculum, but also arbitrary badges that promote those soft skills. So that's what we're going to be looking for in terms of game basics. This is just a quick example. I did show this yesterday if you came to the session on 5 things innovative teachers do differently. Real quick, this is an arts game that Chelsea Meyer, if you know her, she is a very innovative teacher. She's amazing. Check her out on Twitter. She's a great one to follow. I think she's still here today. I don't know if she's in the room, but she's awesome. She created an entire game for her art students to go through her entire semester at their own pace, learning the concepts. So the whole premise of her game is to learn those different art standards. This is a screencast of one of her challenges. So you give the kids multiple ways to pass the standard, to meet the standard. So this happens to be her challenge number 3. And if you go to her site, ask her for her site, you can, she's really great about sharing. But this has the actual standard on it. Points are a big thing. What we found in gaming research is kids don't like small amounts of points, 10, 15, 20. Kids like thousands and bajillions of points. I don't know, you'll have to feed me the name of this game, but I heard about this game where all kids do is they tap as fast as they can, and they earn jillions of points. And kids will spend hours doing this for points. They love points. So use big, big point values. I have a teacher that is doing this in biology, and we are in actual standards-based grading, school up through 8th grade. She deals with points, and we use a 3-point scale. So she uses points in the 30,000, 20,000, 10,000 range, so that for her who actually has to put a grade in for the standards-based, she can correlate that then to the standards-based. Missions, we talked about missions and quests are way more engaging than assignments, homework, and tasks. Resources, so rather than using her class time for direct instruction, this teacher just tags tutorials. I know she's made some of the videos herself, but if you can find them on YouTube, in my opinion, work smarter, not harder. And then once you start getting some examples, giving those out to kids as well. So those are some of the basics. Definitely start with the end in mind. What is it kids need to know and be able to do? Rubrics, just like you would for any assignment, you can still do that in gaming. So here are some of her rubrics. Badges are huge. These badges here that she created, these are actually tied to the standards. So every kid has the opportunity to earn these badges. In fact, they need to earn these badges to pass her class, because these are directly tied to her standards. Then we talk about those exclusive badges. If you're in the back, you can see this, but it says Creativity Connected, 30,000 points, Brilliant Blogger, Brainy Blogger, Pinner Pro. These are ones that not everybody's going to earn. They are above and beyond everything, so that the kids really have to go above and beyond and work super hard to gain enough points for these. Now she does actually have real prizes in her art classroom. She has a bunch of odds and ends of art stuff, so she gives that away. I know she's hit up local businesses for some DQ money, Dairy Queen money, Jimmy John's. But I know in talking to Michael Matera, he uses stickers that look like, or just printed badges and the kids put them in their binders. Brilliant, because it's free. Love it. All right, so I thought about this. I'm like, okay, I've put together a resource of a ton of examples, and I have to preface this by saying, not all my examples are what I would call like rock star. They're like all over the place. I've got some that are like teachers trying this out for the first time, all the way up to completely developed, blown out websites. So they're all over the place. But I thought, okay, instead of me using direct instruction, standing here showing you, how about you play a game to look at game examples? So we're going to play a game. And here's your challenge. Your group, because it's all about collaboration and teamwork, so you're going to make a new friend today, because I haven't had this group up. Your group's mission is to analyze gamification examples while earning points to become the legit game maker. Not only to become the legit game maker, you get your picture posted on social media with the trophy, with the badge, and I have some prizes. You can't have my iTech bag, but I have some prizes. It's the mystery prize and the mystery bag that you will earn for your team. When I get you there to the tiny URL, you'll make a copy of the template. I'm going to ask in your group, I recommend one of you has the template open and the other 2 people, depending if you have 3 or 2 people, actually pulls up the gamification examples. I like to use this with teachers and students. You get 1 free question from me. So if you have a question, not a clarification question, if you need me to clarify, that's free. But if you have a question, the first one's free. After that, you need to take point and gut tips. All of you for playing my game will earn 20,000 points, but it's going to come down to the bonus points for the winners to surface. So with that, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and go to that tiny URL.
Does that go to a Google document?
Yes.
Says you need permission.
Yeah.
Let me do this. I'm going to get you in groups, and then I'm going to work my magic and give you all permission while you're transitioning. So give me 1 second on that. I like to mix up groups because we know real world you don't always get to pick your group. So here's how I like to do it with kids. I like to ask feeling questions. So I'm going to ask you all, here's my question. How do you feel about gamification? And you're going to show me a number in a second. If you feel like you're intrigued but feeling like, out of my element, I'm not so sure, I'm not sold, you're going to show me a 1. If you love playing games, you can't wait to create your first one, you're going to show me a 2. And if you already are the game maker, game master, you love creating games, you're going to show me a 3. So everybody pick your number in your head. Don't flash them yet. And here's how the groups work. You are going to have to collect your stuff and move. So I'm going to start packing up here. Here are the rules. If you are a 1, you cannot be in a group with another 1. If you're a 2 and a 3, you can have another 2 and 3, but you cannot have 2 1s in your group. If we have to be a group of 4, that's fine, but you cannot have 2 1s. So let's do this. Grab your stuff, hold up your number, buy me some time so I can give you access, and find it. Let me get you there. Decide in your group who wants to drag the template. A lot of times with kids, I'll talk about a driver and a navigator. A driver would actually be the one inputting. Navigators are the ones on the side telling them what to do. Internet.
Oh.
Okay, I'm going to stall and hopefully some of your internets will be nice. Okay, so here's the game. This is the template. Once you get to it, if you can make a copy for internet's nice. Get on. Maybe just one of you done, that'd be fantastic. Okay, all of this is choice-based. You do not have to do anything in this game because you all just got 20,000 points for playing. You don't have to do anything. But if you want to win, we're going to need some bonus points. So here's how this rolls. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at my examples. So when the internet loads, I've got a doc that has examples from a ton of different teachers in my district. And like I said, let me clarify, some are amazing, some are first attempts. Okay? And you're going to be able to analyze those. On the left, this will tell you the content. So look at things you care about. If you're a media specialist, I recommend going to the Media Center Challenge. If you're not, but you're a math teacher, I have a ton of math examples. On the right, I copied and pasted the goal and the mission from the game. Some are good, some are okay. Some could use some suggestions. But a whole doc here of examples. And what I'm going to ask you to do is choose examples that you want to look at, any. If you choose to give me some feedback and goals and missions, here's what you're going to do. You're going to read to understand the goal and mission from the examples. So any that you choose. You'll choose the one that you think is the best. You'll describe reasons why it's the best. And you'll earn 1,000 points for a reason. So for example, right here, if you're like, okay, the Media Center Challenge, that one is the best of all the ones I looked at. You don't have to look at them all, you probably don't have time. Put here why it's best. Now tell me, it's the best because of this, this, and this. You don't have to do all the reasons. Heck, you can do one reason and be done. But do notice, if you go down further, you will rack up more points, but that's completely up to you and what you care about. The next thing I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you compare games. You can compare 2 games, or you can get a little crazy and compare up to 4 games. Totally up to you. It's all your choice what you care about. Again, you'll put the game name here. So if you're doing Media Center Challenge and Fraction Game, put their names here. It's a Google Doc, you can edit anything, let's make a copy. And then tell me how they're similar, how they're different, a point, 2,000 points for each. You can stop after one, or you can get crazy and do as many as makes you happy. Then you're going to choose one to give the best of the best award to. Tell me why for 3,000 points. Why is it the best? Then look at badging if that interests you. If it doesn't, you can skip it. Tell me what you think a badge is. You can ask your friend Google if you don't know, if you want an answer. And then give me ideas for badging. So this would be, for example, badges can be virtual or physical. Some of my teachers actually have spaces in their classrooms where they display badges. Some do it all on their classroom website. How would you do it? Give me some ideas. Or don't. It's up to you. Next, look at leaderboards. Tell me what you think that means. Give me ideas. Again, leaderboards can be actual physical in your classroom. They can be virtual. Give me ideas of what that might look like. The last option, believe it or not, is to rank examples. So figure out a criteria. Maybe your criteria is this is the most developed game. Maybe your criteria is difficulty. Whatever criteria you want to use, tell me which ones are the best down to the worst and why. At the end of the time, you'll document your points down here, and you're a team. So this is team points. So either your whole team wins or your team doesn't win. And then I'm going to ask you, because I think together we are better, and I want to see your examples because it might help me take it back to my class and my district. Make sure you share the doc with me so I can see what you're putting in there. So with that said, did I stall long enough that your doc's loaded? At least one per person per group. All right, let's do this. If you don't have one person in the group that had it load, jump ship and go join another group. So I do not want internet to be there. All right, go.
Where's that idea page at?
Because despite the internet, I do eventually want to get us to this conversation. Because part of my rationale for asking you to do this is so you can feel what your kids will feel. I've done this quite a bit with my teachers with different professional development. And the first time I did it with them, I was showing them how to use Google Classroom, so I gamified it so they were actually creating a Google Classroom. And afterwards we debriefed. And it was interesting the feedback I got from the teachers. At that point, the keynote yesterday, who was here yesterday for the keynote? Okay, I could totally relate to him talking about the timer. And actually, I wanted to find a sunset today. I'm like, I should put a sunset up. That's definitely when I get back. I'm using the sunset trick. I love that. But I use a timer for my teachers. And for a lot of my teachers, they have not been in a position of student for a long, long time. And the feedback I got from my teachers was, I hated your timer. It stressed us out. We didn't like it. And then I said to them, how many of you use timers with kids? Every one of them use timers with kids. So we talked about that for a little bit, like, well, how did that feel to you? Because it probably feels the same to some of your kids. So even though I know you're in the thick of the game, and I wanted you to have that feeling, because I wanted to talk to you about it. So let's take a second, and with your group, start talking about how did that feel? And then I want to bring this whole group, and I want to see collectively how did this feel. And let's just all recognize Wi-Fi. Complete barrier. Hopefully you don't have Wi-Fi that is this sketchy in your classrooms and your buildings. If you do, some of you are nodding. I'm so sorry. What a barrier. So let's all acknowledge huge barrier. Probably stressful, especially for my competitive people. They're like, I want to win, and the Wi-Fi is. Some of you are nodding. Yeah, I know. I'm the same way. I'm like, I'm going to win this game. I don't even know what's in that mystery black bag, but I want it for some reason. So take a time out. Talk to each other. How does it feel to be a student right now? And whole group, how does this feel being a student in my game?
Repeat that question.
How does it feel being a student in my game?
It's really exciting.
You felt that excitement, that emotion of
I'm so
excitement?
compelled. I just want to get through all of it. And it's not, I don't care about the bag. I just need to get through all of it.
You just, so it wasn't even that you get to be on social media as the legit game maker and you get this mystery prize. You were just excited.
Yes.
It's engaging.
Okay? You were engaged. Why were you engaged?
I mean, there was a reason why we were doing it. We were just like filling in boxes. We were doing it because we were doing it to get a mystery something or other.
Mystery something or other. Yeah. Okay?
It's something new and exciting.
Okay, different. I mean, granted, if every teacher did this, it'd probably use some of that fun and excitement piece, but for you all, if you're new to gaming, this is fun, different.
It was a little stressful because I kept looking at how much time we have left for the session.
In this
How
session, okay, so
big
you
the
still
chart
felt
was.
that. And one thing I've learned, because I've done this enough now, time it's definitely there. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll say, okay, anybody who's done, ready to lock in your points by this time, do so. You'll get a 2,000, 5,000, whatever, arbitrary number, 5,000 point deduct if you want to turn it in first thing tomorrow. But if you want that extra time, you can buy that for this many points. And that has helped some of those people who are like, well, I want to do more and you're cutting me off. And so that's been a workaround for that, because time is definitely a barrier to What else?
Something with the gamification, the goals are very clear, where they might not, if it's just, an activity, what am I supposed to learn from this activity? But with the game, it's very clear, if I do X, Y, Z, this is what I'll get.
Okay. So again, talking about conditions for winning. Okay.
I guess I'm just putting it in the perspective of how some research teachers, how my students would feel in this situation. I mean, besides the time frame and the internet, but I think my students would enjoy it because, one, they'd be working with a more knowledgeable other, and then so it's small groups, so they at least get a voice in it.
Yeah.
And I think they'd like it because it's works on games. So I mean, just getting to say, here's a bunch of games, I want you to give me your ideas and thoughts on they would love that.
And I have to say, I don't know if you caught the first part, that she's a resource teacher. I have a lot of special ed teachers that have used the gaming concept. Their kids of anybody are so motivated. For a lot of those reluctant learners, all of a sudden you make it a game, and those are your kids that are coming out. A specific story, a 5th grade teacher was struggling with this gentleman all year to do these labs, to do these lab write-ups. And she said she gamified it. She was just trying it down with it. Actually, you probably saw it in there. It was one of those science ones. And her feedback to me was like, well, how did it go? She goes, oh my goodness. The first time ever, Cade got his report done on time. I didn't have to call Dad. He didn't have to miss recess. And it was fantastic. So that feedback, now she uses gaming as a regular part of her class. So she started small with one lesson, but now it's just a part of how she does business. So start small. How do you feel about the choice aspect? And let me give you a thought. I could have stood up here, because I had, 15 or so examples. I could have stood up here and walked you through each one. How would that have felt different than me saying, look at whatever you want to?
I actually looked at them. If you would have walked through it, I would have just zoned you out. I wouldn't have listened. I would have looked like I was listening, but I wouldn't have been.
Why would you have zoned me out?
Because it's not engaging.
Okay.
And I can read. I don't need you to read to me.
Thank you. Yes. And if I would have, what's your position? What do you teach or
Teacher. Middle school.
Middle school, what content?
English.
English. So you might have zoned, if I was showing an English example, you might have been tuned in, and then I would have had an audience of 1. But if it was science, you'd be like, what else?
I liked having access to all of them. If you told me to look at one, and I'm competitive, I would have looked at that one with the best of my ability so that I could win, but I wouldn't have explored any of the other ones. But when you say look at all of them, it's like, okay, there's something in everyone that I can learn from. So it keeps me from being too focused so that I'm not curious.
Okay. So that curiosity piece and the choice, I heard you say choice.
I think it would be nice because if you were just telling me that's your opinion of the games and your summary of the games, whereas if I was looking at it, I could pick out certain things that I would prefer over what you would have been telling me.
Exactly. What were you drawn to? I'm just curious.
I was drawn to the kindergarten just because of the fact that they got to color when they finished a set of words, and I mean, come on, who doesn't like to color?
Who doesn't like to color?
And I've been told that coloring is very, it's like a form of meditation, so just them getting that reward of you work this hard, now it's time to relax and color this one little area.
And if you didn't look at the kindergarten site works, I actually got that from my son's teacher last year. My son was in kindergarten, if you know Marty Worth, amazing teacher, really amazing. And my son came home one night and he goes, Mom, I have to pass my red sight words. And what the teacher did is he gave the kids a blank rainbow template and chunked all of the sight words for the year into colors. And when my son passed the red, he got to color the red rainbow. And then when he got the whole rainbow, the rainbow moved from where it was up into the bulletin board. And my son in one night would knock out the colors because he was so motivated that he was going to get his rainbow done and up on the bulletin board. Brilliant. I don't think I would have thought of that, but that teacher tapped into that. How did you feel about the point values?
I was looking to see what I could do to get the most points.
I think as a teacher, you can, so if you could put some of your higher level stuff as more points, and you're hoping that people go for those, you can kind of guide the choices by the point value you place on those things. So things you really want them to get, you can give a higher point value, and things that are kind of good, you can give a lower point value.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting that the points aren't worth anything, but I wanted the 2,000 points.
You don't even know why.
If I didn't want the
just
1,000, I wanted the 3,000.
Yeah.
Even though it was more work.
Yeah. Because you didn't have to give me 4 ideas, but I was trying to entice you to go deep, right?
I think it'd be great for those that maybe don't come up with the ideas as fast. They're still earning points, while some groups may earn twice as much as them. They're still earning some. It's not like they're just, flat out zero. You don't get anything. They're still earning.
And talking about points and collaboration and teamwork, my personal preference, because I am a social person, is I like to collaborate. That's me. And I do recognize not everybody does. So I've done this a couple ways. I've done it just like with you. You're all a team points at the end of the day. I've also done individual challenges, but we total your points. And you're allowed to help each other, encouraged to help each other. I'm bringing points to the team, you're bringing points to the team, you're bringing points to the team. So when I ask you for help, you're invested in me because my points affect your points. So I've done it both ways depending on what it is. For that science teacher in the lab report, she wanted each kid to experience writing a lab report. So she used separate points combined to team points. What other takeaways? If you feel like, again, I'm going to acknowledge the internet is a barrier. If you feel like your team earned the most points, shout out your points. Take a second here and add them up.
15,000.
Okay, who can beat 15,000 points?
75,000.
Is that on top of the 20,000?
Oh, no, we didn't add 20,000.
Okay, add your 20,000 in.
75,000.
75,000 points? Okay, anybody beat 75,000 points? They were 28,000?
Yeah.
All right, as far as I know, this is a winning team. Last chance.
Yours went down and mine opens it up.
All right, with that, I'll have you three come up, and the rest of you, if you want to give them a round of applause. And we'll get your picture. Thank you for coming, and when you have better Wi-Fi, definitely check out those examples.